This is a video about the weighting process for Jaques of London chess sets. So, you have an old chess set, how do you know whether it's by Jaques of London or not? Well, that's easy to answer. If it is stamped Jaques London on the footrim of the king, one king or both, it is by Jaques of London, and that's what you've got. The second question is, what year was it made? Now, there are slight variations in the design of the chess sets, and that's documented here in Professor Sir Alan First's two books about this about these chess sets. And there is also a downloadable copy of this onto your iPhone, and also it maintains a website with most of the information that you require on it. And the third question, when you've established the year, is it all Jaques? Are all the pieces original? Are they all from the same sets? And the way to do that is to line up the pieces and see if they are very similar to each other. They were never exactly the same because these things were made by hand, and these obviously are just spares from different sets. You then, when you've compared all the pieces and decided if they're from the same set, you then need to look at the bases. Now, Jaques used, generally speaking, as far as I'm aware, they used only green base. However, there's a wide difference in the colours of the bases. Baize is a woven fabric, and felt, which is sometimes used to replace the bases when they fall off, is a felted, matted material. So you need to look at all the bases to see if they match. If they don't match, that can sometimes indicate a replacement piece, or that it's been rebased with an old base from another set. That wouldn't be so difficult to solve. And what I want to particularly talk about is the method that Jaques used to insert the weights into the bases of the pieces. It looks to me like the weights were not poured in, but they were brought in as threaded billets of lead, and then an insertion tool was used, something along the lines of this, where they stuck it into the weight, picked the weight up, and then twisted it into the tool and then released the weight. Now, most of the weights show some sort of pattern of the four-pronged tool. This one has a diamond shape on, this one has a longer, flatter one. So there were several insertion tools, and probably each turner that worked on Jaques sets had his own insertion tool. That's got another pattern, a slightly different pattern. Looks like one of the legs has fallen off that tool, so it's probably been used quite a bit. And there's another one with the diamond-shaped patterns. And this one, there's one from the same set with the three prongs, or by the same turner. This one doesn't have the marks, it's just got one tiny little dot. It's possible that the hole was big and the weight just slipped in without being threaded in. These things can happen. So, how do you lift the base on your chess piece to find out what the weights look like? Well, the bases were stuck on with hide glue, which is a glue which was often used in the 19th century, this sort of thing, and generally speaking they'll come off fairly easily. If not, you can slip a Stanley knife or a box cutter blade in between the felt, the base and the base, and you can just get it off without too much damage. I've made a bit of a mess of this, but nonetheless you usually can. And then as it comes off, you can start to see the insertion marks appearing. And so what do you do then if you have a set which has bases missing? Well, you can, if you can look around and try and find a base that matches. That's possible. Some people have bases from sets they've had refelted, or you can buy a suitable felt or base and simply strip off the old ones and put on the new. We are of the opinion that these sets were made as sets, not in just batches of pieces and then assembled together later. One reason for that would be that the batch of wood that was being used would be consistent throughout the set, and boxwood and ebony do vary somewhat. So you buy a quantity of boxwood or ebony in, and then you make 10 or 12 or 20 sets, whatever the order is, and then you go on to do something else, and then go back and make another batch when you're ready. Thank you. This is a video about the weighting process for Jaques of London chess sets. So, you have an old chess set, how do you know whether it's by Jaques of London or not? Well, that's easy to answer. If it is stamped Jaques London on the footrim of the king, one king or both, it is by Jaques of London, and that's what you've got. The second question is, what year was it made? Now there are slight variations.